from an Italian horse onto the Italian bull. This is a 1966 Lamborghini 350 GT. This is the beginning, the juvenile of the Ferruccio Lamborghini's cars. Now let's just take a look at it, and how different is it from Ferraris, and most importantly, how different is it from the Lamborghinis that we have today. My generation grew up with Lamborghinis like Diablo, Murcielago, and Gallardo and Aventador. Those big bulls, huge, angry supercars that were there to just show off, to make a noise. They were mid-engine, they were V12s, and they were not there for long journeys, luxury experience, quiet, comfortable ride. No, they were there to show off with their loud exhausts and those Diablo doors, those Lamborghini doors. But this car, this 350 GT, is how Lamborghini started with cars. As we know, Lamborghini was initially a tractor company, and he did buy some cars from Ferrari until the last one. I'm not quite sure about the story, but Lamborghini was there. Ferruccio Lamborghini created his cars to show that he can build better cars that Ferrari Enzo can. And this was the first car that they built. Again, honestly, my filming doesn't do justice to these beautiful machines and this car collection. It's just it's more than a museum here. It's like a heaven for any car enthusiast. But I will try to do my best, so stick with me. So this car was bodied by Italian coach builder Touring Superleggera in Milan. You got your different Superleggera decals. The car is made from aluminium, which was sort of the carbon fiber of that time. And now let's let the profile of the car sink in. We got this weird nose, but at the same time it does have that sort of triangle that all Lamborghinis have. And the coolest part about this car for me is the greenhouse, the body of the car, the way the windows are made. It's like a bubble, and you can really see it from the back. It's like the roof is quite high, and which creates a greenhouse effect inside the cabin. And well, let's put it this way. The back window is so big, in fact it's so much longer than the front window, that when you are sitting at the back, or I mean when you're behind this car, you can see everything that's inside the car. When I'm standing here, or let's say I'm in a high SUV, I can see the seats, the dashboard, the gauges. I can probably tell the time of the clock. which is, you do not find this in modern design. This is why these cars are just on a different level. So my favorite design of this car is at the back. If we just look at this part of the car, it does quite resemble the C2 Corvette, the Stingrays. Whenever they switched from a split window to a single window, it does resemble, it's quite similar in design. This is like a Stingray Corvette that has been stretched out, because the Corvette also has a very large back window, which creates like a greenhouse effect inside the cabin. But this is sort of the design that Lamborghini chose for its first car. I'm very sorry, there was a fly flying around here, which is very annoying. And again, when we look at the back, another couple of cool features. You know how modern cars, they have a specific place for the number plate, and inside the body there's sort of like well, there's a little bit of space, you know, like 30 on 15 centimeter space where you can place your number plate. And this car, it's sort of the whole bumper. So if we look, I mean, the bumper and the trunk of this car is quite low. If we look at it, I don't know, maybe you can see it this way. And the way the line works is that there's like a big cutoff overhang where the number plate and the rear light is placed. You got your pretty cool Lamborghini signs. And again, over here we got those purely Italian quad pipe exhausts, which just look amazing. It's like it's like an aftermarket thought, but if we look at all the American, sorry, not American, if we look at all Italian cars, like this 350 GT, that 250 GT Elena, the Ferrari, and this Lamborghini, they all have their pipes sticking out, which is so cool. Tell me which modern car does that. This V12 powered car that doesn't really shout about its V12 power, although the engine did produce 340 horsepower, and it was very sophisticated engine of that time. It did have a quad cam, which I mean, cars like Ford and GM or even Corvette never even heard of. But again, you know, even the Ferrari. So this 50s Ferrari, late 50s, had a single overhead cam, but this had quads. And let's get into the interior. So let's climb into this Ferruccio Lamborghini's first child. Let's just have a little look of the interior. It's a two-seater, like the Ferrari 250s of that time, or the Daytona of that time. Just look at it. Over here, this is your door, and this is your door handle. It could have been just any normal handle, but they did put some style into it, as well as this lever for winding up and down windows. Chrome metal doors. And again, this is before Mura. before Lamborghini started designing cars themselves. This was with the help of the Touring. This is how it looks like. Does it really look like a bull with its doors open? Maybe not, but at the same time, it does look quite amazing. And again, if we look at the door, so because it's a coupe, it opens quite wide. The door sort of goes out and comes a bit in front, but at the same time it doesn't touch the car itself. And again, chrome metal inserts, and the way the window is designed is quite interesting. I mean, this is Italian, this is the peak of the Italian automotive design. This is Bertone and Zagato and Giovanni and Giugiaro having their best work. Not quite sure if all of them lived at the same time, but anyways, you got my point. I mean, this was the peak of automotive design. Not only in Italy, this was everywhere in the world. The 60s, you know, Americans, for God's sake, the fastback Mustang, the Stingray Corvette, I mean, these sort of cars, Alfa Romeos and Ferraris and Lamborghinis, they were just on top of their game. And here is the look from the inside. So again, whenever you look at this car, it's so different from what you look at today. Whenever you open a Aventador or a Gallardo or Huracan, all you can tell is that it's meant to go fast. It's a modern car, it's meant to go fast. In this case, this is just pure Gran Turismo machine. It's there not to cruise down downtown Boulevard and show off revving the engine. It's for you and your loved one taking a trip from Cannes to Monte Carlo. Nevertheless, again, we got a bull here, and I'll try to open the door a little bit. And the coolest part about this dash, and I mean, these dials, I love them so much you cannot even imagine. I love their font. I don't know if you can see properly. Oh, I almost fell. but look at that font. I mean, these gauges, they were designed by Jaguar watch company, and you can sort of tell that they were. I mean, if you look at my vintage watch, you get sort of the same feeling over here, but you're looking at your speedometer, and take a look. The speedo is 300 kilometers per hour. We're talking about 1960s, where American car would maximum probably top out at around 220 kilometers per hour, and probably this one won't even go 300 kilometers per hour, but nevertheless it was there. Oh my god, this is heaven. This is heaven. You got your radio over there and the handle to hold on to for your passenger, so they want so make them feel safer. Again, manual gearbox. You got your lighter next to your gear lever, of course, because back in the time everybody smoked. And you got your switches, your toggle switches, your readouts. Honestly, very cool car. Now, for some reason, it didn't pick up very well. I'm not quite sure why, but Lamborghini, I mean, nobody actually considers Lamborghini until the launch of Miura. And it's quite sad. I don't believe that this car kind of gets enough credit that it deserves. It's not a Lamborghini that we know of, but it's sort of an answer of Ferruccio Lamborghini to Enzo Ferrari, saying that I can build a good car and that is better than yours. And I honestly absolutely love this car, and today getting up close to it really made me appreciate Lamborghinis more than I ever did. So they built around 120 of this gorgeous 350 and 400 GTs and 60s, and then in 70s they came up with this. Just take a look at it. If you've seen Doug's videos, you probably know this car. But again, let's take a walk around. All right. So this is 1972 Lamborghini Jarama, and this car came out from Lamborghini when they already launched Lamborghini Miura. This is normal Jarama, and that's Jarama S. This is 70s Lamborghinis for you. Quite weird seeing such a car to come from someone who can make a 350 GT, the 400 GT, and Miura. The cool thing about this car is that it has quite unique headlights. So if we look at Testarossa, they got headlights that, you know, if they're over here, that the whole headlight mechanism pops out and you have your lights on. Over here, Lamborghini went with a little bit different way, but in my opinion, I think it's way more reliable. So you got your lights over here like any normal car, but instead of the whole mechanism popping out, the only thing that it does is this thing goes up and you got your light. So this was 70s, and from curves we went to lines. This is your hood scoop, like an intake. These things over here, and whenever you look at Jarama, you think that it's a hatchback. So you might think that whenever you open your trunk, the whole trunk opens up like in a Golf GTI or any SUV, but it doesn't. The only thing that opens is this trunk. This is actually just a trunk, and you got a huge rear window. And I cannot imagine that a lot of people would be sitting at the back there because it does look very tight. But if they did, and you're driving on a hot summer day, I can imagine that their heads and necks are probably gonna be very, very red. But nevertheless, another cool feature about this car is that over here you got fake insert imitation to the actual filler cap that's over here. I'm not quite sure why did they do that. I mean, they could have just left the filler, the place on the other side. They didn't need to make a hole, but I guess it was done either for left and right hand drive cars, the difference, or perhaps just for the simple aesthetics of symmetry. Oh, another cool thing, guys. If you look at this door handle, all right, this is a Lamborghini door handle. I'll tell you something else. Vaz 2101, the Russian automobile that was based on Fiat 124, has the same exact handle. So perhaps if you have a Lamborghini Jarama and you're missing a door handle, go shopping in post-USSR countries. You can probably find a lot of those for very, very cheap. So let's get inside a 70s Italian car. You already know how it looks from outside. Let's see what Lamborghini has for us on the inside. I mean, it's quite nice when you look at it from far away, but when you start getting into details, it's an absolute nightmare to find any switches that make sense. Just to give you an example, this is radio. It's positioned not over here where, you know, where you find it in modern cars or even the cars of the same age. It's positioned over there. And let's say that, all right, you know, if it's upside down, you can sort of mirror it and guess where the switches are. But no, it's placed the same way, upright, like it would be over there, except it's totally on the other side, which makes it very difficult for people to sort of make sense of what switches do. And another thing, in modern Ferraris, you have a very busy steering wheel where you have your indicators, washer wipes, your even traction control and engine start stop button. Back in 70s it was a bit different, and it does have a beautiful wooden steering wheel, but if you want to honk somebody, this thing is not gonna work. The horn is actually over here. Now another thing is this switch is your emergency flasher, and you know, if you look at it like this, it does make sense, but as a driver you're going to be looking at it this way, and it's positioned on a totally different area that's not very intuitive to you, and it doesn't have the universal sign that we are used to, as well as we are used to having our windshield wiper operating handles on the steering wheel or next to it on the levers like this home. But in a Jarama, they're actually over here, and there are your lights, and there your froster and something else, and there's your volume knob, and oh, another cool thing is that this switch in the middle with arrows is to modulate your sound. So if you press it in front, you can hear the speakers more from the front than the back, and vice versa. Don't really know why you need it, and it's such a small car, but nevertheless it was there. This is Lamborghini Jarama, and this is for you Italians' idea of a luxury automobile of the 1970s. From a car that looks like a hatchback to a car that actually is a hatchback. This is a Lamborghini Espada. I believe it's in 1972. Here is your famous Espada logo, which means sword. And let's take a look around the car. So again, let's take a look around the car. Let the design sit in our heads so we can understand it. And to many viewers, or younger generation viewers, or even people my age, it's very hard to believe that Lamborghini could do a car like this. But let's remember, Lamborghini did not start off with building crazy hypercars that we know of today, like Aventador and predecessors of Aventador. They didn't start with mid-engine cars. They started with the front engine, like the 350 GT. And Lamborghini Ferruccio's idea of Lamborghini, his perfect car, wasn't a racing car. It was a good, luxurious GT car. And this is it. This is the profile of the Lamborghini Espada. It's a very, very large hatchback, which is quite weird. But again, it's not uncommon. Now, I honestly, by looking at discussing machine under a name of Lamborghini Urus, I wish Lamborghini had made a very fast, powerful sedan, a cruiser, a GT car, in addition to their already crazy supercars, the Aventador and Huracan. But no, they decided to go with SUV. That's like that's technically a Volkswagen Touareg with a different badge. But nevertheless, let's go back to the time when Lamborghini was the Lamborghini, before they went mad. Although at this time, Miura, the crazy mid-engine Lamborghini in which Aventador is primarily based on, was already out. But nevertheless, they did want to make a car for regular people, that seats for individuals. Yes, it might be a Lamborghini, but it doesn't mean that it has to be crazy. It doesn't mean that you need to sit very low to the ground. It just means that, you know, just by having a Lamborghini, you don't need to sacrifice other things in life. And all right, let's just take a look at this car, right? One by one. Of course, you got your Italian quad exhaust pipe. Back in 70s and 60s, even 50s, Italian car is not an Italian car if it doesn't have those sort of exhaust. And then let's just take a look at this back. This is not your usual design. It's not an estate because it doesn't round up at the back, but at that time we did have American family cars that were sort of the wagons, but at the same time this is a wagon, but it's Italian. You know what I mean? It's still, for me, this car, it does take time for me to register this car in my head, because I still cannot believe that Lamborghini would do such a thing. But nevertheless, here it is. And again, what do you think this thing's for? What Lamborghini Espada is trying to hide under this plastic? It's a filler cap. And unlike Hamara, I mean, or as Hamara, they decided to do one at on the other side of the car. And this one is actually also filler cap. This is not a replica or a mimic. This is Espada has 2 ways to fill its tank. Now, another feature, quite weird feature, all right? Meanwhile, you're trying to hide your filler cap, you're clearly not trying to hide anything that you're carrying in your trunk. Because look at all this glass over here. Some normal cars have normal trunks, and that's okay. And over here, Lamborghini could have made a smaller glass. It didn't need to have glass over here. Why do you need a glass over here? I mean, if I'm sitting in a traffic light behind this car, I can literally see everything that owner of this Lamborghini is carrying with him or with her. So why? I mean, I can imagine they could show off their expensive luggage, but at the same time, I'm sure it's all gonna be cooking under this glass. People say and argue that Lamborghini did this so that when you're sitting in front, when you're driving, when you're trying to reverse, you can see what's behind you very clearly. But at the same time, why? I mean, you could have had just the space over here. You know, why did you need to do it there? And if you're gonna put something into this car, into the luggage, you're never gonna see it. You're not gonna use this mirror. So that makes quite an interesting case for Lamborghini Espada. And let's not forget, this was the luxurious Lamborghini. So your luxurious wheels came with a V12 from Miura, producing somewhere like 350 horsepower. Quad cam V12. In addition, you got a pretty nice looking antenna to have radio on your long journeys, as well as you got your big trunk. You got your back seats that are covered in beautiful leather for your passengers to feel at home. And for yourself, you got nevertheless a very luxurious cabin. Let's take a look at it. This is a pretty comfy seat. By the looks of it, you got some wood inserts. It doesn't have any other function than just being there. It doesn't do anything. You got your beautiful chrome lines on beautiful tan leather. Over here is some, but look, this is your door handle covered in leather as well. That is your awkward position handbrake. That is your manual transmission with the wooden gear knob. And this is your wooden steering wheel with middle being wooden as well. This is your honk, of course. And everything looks very, very well. Until again, by this being a Lamborghini, not everything is quite well inside the cabin. And let's start with the obvious things. The cockpit is positioned towards you, which may be quite cool, but then at the same time you got your radio there, which may be good and bad. Good that you're the only one who has control of the radio. Bad being that it just positioned very awkwardly, and at the same time, I mean, you got a weird driving position. The steering wheel, the distance between the steering wheel and the chair is quite small, but then again, this is adjustable steering wheel, which is quite cool. Then you got to go into your switches, which God knows does what. Honestly, God knows what those switches do, and they look very ugly. But then again, it's a Lamborghini, and the features, luxury features, include even a leather wrapped door handle that allows passengers to open the windows. It doesn't have to be leather wrapped, but Lamborghini did it anyway. So they went through the whole idea of covering everything in leather to make it more luxurious, and at the same time, if you see it right there, your passenger has a resting step where they can adjust it and rest their feet on, which is quite cool, to be honest. But then, in my opinion, Lamborghini messes up by exposing and literally just leaving it out there. Screws on the dash. Over there, you can see some. You can see some over here. Why are they there? It sort of looks like a unfinished cabin. You know, like you feel like on top of that aluminium, something else has to go on and not expose the bolts like that. But this was just Lamborghini for you back in the 70s. I would honestly choose this over any modern Lamborghini, except of course the manual Murcielago. But I'm talking about modern Lamborghinis like Urus. I really like this car. Oh, it's also styled by Bertone. I love this car, honestly. It shows that Lamborghini doesn't have to be crazy. It can be sensible. And do we all remember the concept in the mid-2000s called Lamborghini Stock, which is a V12 powered Lamborghini sedan? It was just a concept, but it looked amazing. It was something from a different world for me. I really wished Lamborghini made that car. I am pro fast sedan. I don't think we need to have fast SUVs. I don't see the point of them. But fast sedans, or even the shooting brakes, the hatchbacks like these, I would rather see this, you know, a modern version of this, than a fast SUV. It just doesn't make any sense. But these cars, they do make good sense, and they do look amazing. God bless Lamborghini back in the days.